Distinguished heads of state and of governments, Your Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, welcome to all of you. Welcome to the 6th World Economic Forum on the Middle East. Here we meet again at a critical time, and I'm thankful to all of you to come here and to engage in a joint effort shaping the regional agenda in a global context. The purpose of this meeting is to address and hopefully to advance all the issues on the regional agenda, and to do so in the best World Economic Forum's tradition, which means in a multi-stakeholder framework, creating a true public-private partnership for progress. We shall be strongly forward-oriented, as it is clearly indicated in our theme, Learning from the Future. This means that we are the emergence of a completely networked global society, thanks to the progress of communications technologies. The second evolution is that we are living in a much more empowered and of our ecology. We now have the honor of His Excellency President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak, who has shown true leadership as a relentless promoter and guarantor for political stability in the region, and as a catalyst for unleashing the economic potential of Egypt, making it, a true gateway to opportunities. Mr. President, before taking the floor, we already would like to thank you for your hospitality, for your patronage of the meeting, and for the excellent cooperation with your government, and above all, for your enlightened leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of Egypt, His Excellency Mohammed.
Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Rahman, the Merciful. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you here in Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of peace, and to meet with you on the land of Egypt in Sinai, with all what carries of religions and history and what narrates on the clashes of the humans and the years of peace and war. Sinai was an arena for bloody wars in its history, either the contemporary or the old, and at the same time it was a crossing point to the connection of humans and messages of heavens. I talk to you, and close to us the Mount Sinai lies, and the Holy Valley Monastery of St. Catherine, and the track of Jesus, Joseph, and the Virgin Mary, and echoes in this land what being told us by the Torah, the Bible, and the Holy Quran, and the holy heavenly books. The history of Sinai summarizes since Ramesses and Akhenaton some of the human nature contradictions between the greatness and weakness of the human person, his intelligence and humbleness. It is narrated by its sands and mountains how humanity can sublime to make civilization, and how can it slope to violence and bloodshedding. This history is a part of the Middle East March and the humanity as well, where we can take lessons in order to think thoroughly in the conditions of this world and the world conditions, and to look forward a better future to its peoples and a world which is more peaceful, secure, just, and stable. The participants of the forum which we open today are the elite of leadership in business, economy, investment, and the scholars and academia, in addition to the media professionals, artists, and creators. We all feel gratitude towards Professor Schwab and express our appreciation to the continuous successes he achieved, and we congratulate him with the increasing international recognition with the influential role of this important forum. Ladies and gentlemen, Davos Forum comes back again to Sharm el-Sheikh and to the Middle East, and the whole world is witnessing a crossroads amidst regional and international challenges, where the whole world faces severe economic crisis that started by the collapse of the U.S. real estate and financing market, and the rates of economy started to retreat. The world is overcoming severe waves that witness unprecedented increases in the prices of energy, the basic foods, and the materials, and affect greatly, in the first place, the poor countries and the poor people inside the one country. This forum is held while these issues have become the topic of the issue of both the developed and developing countries, and the business of the international institutions and organizations, and those who work in politics and the academia, together with the thinkers, the economists, and those who are interested in the affairs of the world. The current international crisis introduces many problems where in its economic where intertwine the social and economic dimensions intertwingle, and also the issues of the climate change and the water and energy supplies and the economic growth rates and the standard of living in the developed and developing worlds. Providing food security to the poor represents a basic challenge, and it is a great responsibility towards the poor and the least the minor income people, including the poor people of the rich developed countries. And this target should not be a point of auctioneering that raise the rises of prices and orientations that use the food of people as a fuel to the machine. Is it reasonable that some people go on in producing the biofuel supported by their governments? Is it reasonable or acceptable that the agricultural crops be used in producing ethanol in order to increase the crisis of food? The international community is in a dire need to re-estimate the genuine cost of producing the biofuel with its social and environmental reflections and its repercussions on the food security of the humanity. There would be a dire need to an urgent international dialogue around its table, the exporter-importers of food meat from the developed and developing countries, a dialogue that introduces solutions to fulfill the food needs of the people and at the same time provide supplies of energy to the global economy. A dialogue that results in solutions we all agree upon and abide by. We are facing difficult challenges and we should deal with as the responsibility which is collective. We all face the effects, the negative effects of the climate change and all the related types of production and consumption and all what it may cause of drought, desertification, and phenomena of global warming. We are facing a vicious circle imposed by the relation between the energy and food supplies in order to make all of them both a reason and a result at the same time to the present crisis of the international economy. And they both share in its aggravation to the extent that they threat by turning it into a chronic crisis unless we all do our best to contain it. I'll carry this invitation to make a dialogue on that international concern to the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO next month in Rome, and I'm looking forward to that, all that it may guide both the developed and developing countries to the right path to contain this crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting was held 2 years ago here in Sharm el-Sheikh with the emblem of a promise to a new generation, a promise that summarizes the aspiration of the Middle East peoples to a better tomorrow and future that bears prosperity and peace to the whole and to a favorite international climate to support its march and aspirations. And where are we now from that promise? Has the world and the Middle East become in a better standard to make it fulfill it? Here in this hall I invited to stand against the constant rise in prices of energy, and I called for redressing the orientations of the world economy and the structural imbalances in the public budgets of some big economic powers and to the imbalances in their exchange rates. I called for supporting the agricultural commodities and warned from the protective orientations of some developed and developing countries and from its repercussions on the international trade and the Doha round negotiations. Where are we now from all of that? The Middle East is craving for peace, stability, and development, and it gets over an important stage towards the political and economic, even the social reforms, and it has strategic and natural, even human resources that enables it to realize stability. Has the promise of peace been realized? And the stability of this sensitive region, where is it from what happens in Darfur, Somalia, Lebanon, and Iraq? What about shaking stability in the Gulf region, the Middle East, and the whole world has witnessed many developments since we last met? Have we become more able to face these common challenges? Have the dangers of terrorism and the mass destruction weapons retreat? What about the millennium objectives? What about the issues of social justice, human rights, and poverty? What about the issues of education, environment, children, women? What about our movement towards organized crime and money laundering, even the human trafficking? Any objective assessment to the regional developments and the international ones along the past 2 years will recognize that the expectations of the Middle East towards peace and stability has not come true, and that the international atmosphere did not support these eligible aspirations properly. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Economic Forum is held this year under the emblem of learning from the future, in a trial to determine its features with all what introduce of challenges and opportunities, and with what all it may come with changes and potentialities that can be difficult to be determined. And I believe that learning from the future starts from learning from the lessons of the past and the present. Our world has witnessed many changes and unprecedented changes in science, knowledge, information, technology, and communication. Globalization and interdependence have become the feature of this world, and our world has turned into a small village. Many theories have retreated that lasted for long, and emerged new theories. There have become a talk on the clash of civilizations and the end of history, and another talk about the postmodernism and the post-ideologies. The 21st century has got over the polarization witnessed by the last century between the East and the West, between socialism and capitalism, and there has become an international agreement leaning towards the mechanism of the market, seeking to deal positively with globalization. So what happened and what's happening now? The world has become in a crossroads, and the developing countries has become in a very difficult situation, and before a very difficult comparison between what they realize from the benefits of globalization and what they face from challenges. The current world crisis has come to support the situations of those who call for the protective procedures in a confrontation with those who believe in the economic and trade liberation. This crisis has come to add new factors to shake the stability and to give new pretexts to the backwardness, Salafist, terrorism and extremism powers, and to the auctioneers of the poor. The international community is responsible to redress this current situation and contain the repercussion of this current crisis on the developing countries and their peoples. The need has become dire to rethink creatively and objectively on the form of the world that we aspire for the future. We are looking forward a world where the future does not seem to be a source of any disputes, but a source of aspiration and hope. We have the lessons of the history, the near and the far. We have the reality of our world today, and we have many scenarios introduced to that future, and we have to select. Ladies and gentlemen, Egypt has determined its choices, and with a stable conviction and a vision, it realizes strenuously. Our choice has always been continuing reform on all its pivots and continuing seeking the Middle East peace together with its stability and security. We are in our march towards supporting our democracy and supporting pluralism and our political life. We are in our path towards reforms coming from the inside, caring for the conditions and specificities of our community, and caring from many experiments tried to leapfrog, and they were resulted to their failure, and trials of imposing democracy from the abroad under many pretexts that ended with destruction and killing people. 4 years ago, the reform paces started to go faster, and we took decisions, serious decisions, to reform the custom and tax sectors and develop the attracting atmosphere of investments. We redefined the role of the state and followed courageous and brave policies to encourage the private sector and to liberate our economy and realize its openness to the world. We realized in the path of reform many achievements. Our economy realizes a growth rate goes over 7% for the third year. The direct foreign investments increased from $3 billion 4 years ago to get over $11 billion per year, to represent more than 8.5% of the GNP. Unemployment rate increased from 11.5% to 8%. And the budget deficit decreased from 8.5 to about 6%, and we plan to make it get over 3% by 2011. We wouldn't have contained the repercussions of the current world crisis without increasing the deficit of the budget, but for what we have achieved of the economic reform. And we wouldn't have alleviated the reflections on the poor and the low-income people but for these steps taken towards the social reform. We are in our way of reform without looking to the back, supporting our cooperation with our international partners, seeking genuine partnership based on investment and trade. We calling for friendship with all and seeking that our international relations being based on mutual respect. That was our choice in dealing with the Egyptian issues, with all their challenges and aspirations. What about Egypt's choices towards the crises of its region in the world? it selected peace. We bear its banner and followed up with the peace process with all its successes and failures. And we had no second thought in supporting it, and we exerted every effort to help it overcome its crises. We continue that convincingly, that the just peace is what realizes the security and stability of the Middle East, and that the Palestinian issue is the core of the conflict in the region and the correct way towards redressing all its crises and the focal points of tension. I have reiterated many times that the escalation of terrorism is not referred to the gap between the poor and the rich in the world, as some people may think, or the absence of democracy, as others may think. But its main reference is the issues that have long been waiting for a just solution, on the top of which is the Palestinian issue. Issues that increase the feelings of anger and give opportunity to terrorism and violence, provide the pretext to who wage war and who may try to export their ideologies and impose control and hegemony on this region of the world. The just comprehensive peace is the key to the stability of the Middle East and the correct path to surrounding terrorism. And the Arab world has introduced the Arab Peace Initiative 6 years ago and welcomed the vision of President Bush to achieve peace according to the concept of the two states, and has welcomed the current negotiations between the two parties, the Palestinian and the Israeli, and reaching the peace before the end of his office. And I'm looking forward to the day where this promise may be fulfilled. The invitation to entrenching the values of freedom, justice, and human dignity all are an integral part, and we are aspiring this invitation include the people of Palestine to end its suffering after 6 years of suffering. Egypt is doing tireless efforts to realize peace in Gaza and to alleviate the suffering of the people there and pave the way to negotiation in order to reach a peace agreement that end occupation and declare the independent state. The meeting of the Palestinian groups in Cairo, the meetings in Cairo this month has reached to an agreement on the requirements of appeasement, and I'm looking forward to a similar response, positive response from the Israeli part, and to reach negotiation with the Palestinian part on the final issues as soon as possible and in good faith. People is going to continue its efforts to support the peace and the Palestinian issue. It is our issue and our interests, and together with our borders and national security. And despite our appreciation to the International Quartet to mobilize the financial and economic support to the Palestinian Authority institutions, we call for combining this with the necessary political support to the peace negotiations. We all should realize that Abu Mazen is in a need to a just and honorable peace agreement, realize the aspirations of his people, and blessed by the people as well. And anybody who may think that anybody can provide a cover to a meeting does not meet with aspirations of the Palestinians is mistaken, of course. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, the peace and prosperity of the Middle East is a part and parcel of the world. And when we talk about the future, we should be aware that time is running short and the age is witnessing us. The future starts from this point, from this particular moment. We, of course, are facing common challenges. However, we are able to work hand in hand to get them over. Expectations of the scenarios to the future of this region and the world may vary, but we all agree on aspiring to a better future that elevates the common values of humanity, achieve peace and stability, and takes the man to the highest degrees of dignity and potentials and prevent him from weakness and trivialities. I welcome you all, brothers and sisters, once again, and I wish you and this forum beneficial discussions, and thank you.